Hello, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak, how a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out. Welcome to The Swimming Pool with your host, Travis Bridges.
And that would be yours truly. I'm wondering right now if you can hear me well. If you can, that's good. If you can't, I will find out soon enough. Well, this is Wednesday. It is time for SWIM, SWYM. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean. I will say that 3 or 4 more times before this broadcast is over. You may notice that I'm in a different location. This is what I call my road kit. Yes, I am on business travel, but business never ceases. Or ceases? Which is it? Business never seems to cease. The show must go on. So although I am on business travel for a short while, I have something wonderful for you tonight. I have a guest that's going to come up that is interesting. I mentioned it on my Sunday special that I was going to have this guest coming up. So in a few moments, I'm going to take a short break and I'm going to come back with that guest. And I hope you will enjoy it as much as I did and will. With that being said, I'm going to talk about something that's a little different. I made a few notes. Not many of you know this, but my live stream is simply just talk about talking. And what you may not know is many times I don't have a subject, and I don't have a subject on purpose. Sometimes I do, and when I do, it's a different vibe. But most of the times I just talk about talking, because it really doesn't matter what you talk about if there is no subject, because what I want to bring awareness to is how we listen, how we hear, what we do with the information we gather in a conversation, and how do we walk away from that conversation, whether it's either in our favor or not. So I do have some notes, and I'm talking about the importance of listening. Some people just don't know how to express themselves. Some people are deep feelers, but not necessarily deep communicators. Then you have those that can say a whole lot, but then nobody seems to get it. Not sure which one of those I fall into, but for the sake of just making a joke about it, I don't have a problem talking. I talk quite a bit, but I find myself sometimes not necessarily being understood. So the verdict is still out on that. I'm still a work in progress, and I believe everything is going to be okay. Hearing what is said is important, but did you know that hearing what is not said is also important? Silence is a message. When someone doesn't talk, they're saying something. When they talk, they're definitely saying something. Hey, Tasha. Hey, Kimberly. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Don't y'all go, because my guest coming up is going to be good. But back to my point, hearing what is not said is just as important as listening to what someone is saying, because what they're saying could not necessarily be what they mean. And it's important to have several conversations. That's if you care to invest in whether it's a relationship or business or even a marriage in some cases. You know, sometimes if you don't have the desire, if it doesn't matter to you, you can say, okay, well, I don't care, and I just won't worry about it. And if anybody's not clear, then that's just too bad. But that's not the case. Most people do have some compassion and care, whether or not someone understands. And it's important to listen and listen thoroughly and make sure you understand. Also, knowing what to do in crisis. When you have those moments when it's like somebody's not getting the point, or maybe you're not getting somebody else's point, that is what I would call a crisis or a chaotic situation, or it could get chaotic. It's not necessarily chaotic, but when there's chaos or misunderstanding, something has to happen. And it's important to know what to do and when to do it and with whom, because a certain personality may come at you a certain way, or you may have a different personality that someone may not get. So again, as much as I could go on and on and on, the importance of listening, paying attention, hearing, and listening again, and making sure you have a clear understanding is important. I understand that can get exhausting for many people, and that's what usually happens. People will get tired of being misunderstood or misunderstanding, and will just, hang it up and say, okay, forget it. And for those people, you're in my thoughts and prayers, and I hope you rest well at night, even if you're not necessarily settled. But I believe there's an answer to every question, and there's a solution to every problem. And if any time there's an uneasy feeling in your spirit, on your mind, in your heart, that's the time to consider making an effort to listen here, have a conversation with someone, even when it's not fun, even when it's exhausting. That doesn't mean worry yourself to death. Don't get me wrong. Don't go nuts. But take the opportunity to care, for lack of a better word, for yourself and maybe other people who may or may not be understanding. Because people will say, I don't care. But, we all have that outer, that defense mechanism that, doesn't want anyone to know that we're not happy about a situation. But it goes on. Life has to go on. We have to go to work. We have to deal with our families and business and other people. And we can't spend too much time on things, but at least give it a shot if it's worth it. Okay? Cool. Oh, I was going to talk about this too. And this is the difference between men and women when it comes to chaos, especially in personal relationships. I'm finding in my interviews with people, some I have on the air and some are not on the air. And I'm finding it. It's nothing new. But men have a tendency to want to fix stuff. Why are we like that? Why do we want to fix everything? Where I don't know what it is. I'm not going to speak for women. I don't know what it is they do. But when men and women are not getting along, I'm just going to give women, if you're listening to me and you're talking with a male counter person, a male person, and whether it's at work or at home or, anytime, men want to find out, hey, what's the problem? How can we fix it? What do I need to do? Well, can you do this to fix it? Whereas on the other hand, I'm not sure what it is women do, because I believe men, for the most part, will do anything to get some peace. I think I'm out there too far. I'm going to leave that alone. Anyway, I'm going to take a short break, but I'd like to invite you to send me a message if you'd like for me to talk about a subject, because I can get deep. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I just believe I've lived long enough to be non-biased, and I say that all the time too, so allow me to do that. Anyway, I'm going to take a little short break, and when I come back, I will be live in my other location with the meat of the moment, okay? Don't move. Hang in there.
Knowing the difference and choosing wisely. It really is okay to be afraid. It's just not necessary. Adversaries are wired to make a lot of noise. It's their greatest weapon, as it invokes instant fear. We're all hand-picked by God, but it's our choice to be used by the devil. It is quite natural to be leery of a lower and or higher frequency. Knowledge and or wisdom insists that we either tune in or tune out. Fear is natural and normal. Fear can be our friend or our enemy. Why do we laugh after a joke or a prank that frightens us? Ever notice during that split second of fear that it's not funny at all? It's because fear is a natural reaction. It's not a natural response. Know the difference. It really is okay to be afraid. It's just not always necessary. Mighty Horn Music. Smooth jazz, top 40, R&B, inspirationals, and more. Live from the Hollywood Home Studio. Like, share, subscribe. And thanks for tuning in.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Swimming Pool, SWYM. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean. I am Travis Bridges. Of course, you know that. And this evening is going to be special. It's amazing how these interviews come about. As a matter of fact, my next guest that's coming up is a guest that I had no clue that I would be interviewing. And they just agreed to go on with me, and we're going to, continue, my season of grandfatherism. But I would like to thank you for supporting, my efforts to become a YouTuber, and I appreciate you sharing and subscribing this information, because although it's not necessary that I have 1,000 subscribers to go live mobilely now, I still have that as an initial goal. So thank you in advance for sharing this information, as well as, supporting me and coming back to my channel. I promise you that it will get better. I've grown from the time that I started, because this initially started when I was during the COVID concert series. My original audience do know that. I was playing my saxophone, and I promise I'm going to get back to that at some point in time. But right now, I'm just sharing my thoughts, views, and comments about the importance of communicating, how we listen, how we hear, how we pay attention to what we're listening and hearing, how someone else may be saying one thing and meaning another, making sure that we get all of the information, lay it on the table, discuss it, maybe even discuss it again, and then after everything has been exhausted, how we walk away is more important than anything, because accepting truth, reality, and transparency is important for a good quality of life. Unfortunately, many times we rebut against things that we can't change, or things that we don't like or don't believe in or even understand. And it creates static between us and the people that are around us. So again, in this season of my life, and in this season in general, I'm the guy who's bringing awareness to the importance of communication. So again, SWIM is pretty much talk about talking. So with that being said, if you'd like to hear from me, I'd love to hear from you. Travis Bridges 2 at AOL.com is how you can send me a message, an email rather, in the subject. Just put, whatever the subject is, and then in the body of the letter, just say, hey, I'd like to chat with you, and then leave your contact information, or just tell me what the subject is, and then I'll find a time to talk about it. Again, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychologist or a psychologist, not a minister of anything like that. I just believe I've lived long enough to have an opinion about, a non-biased opinion. And even if I am biased, I believe I have the ability to remove my biasness from information and evidence presented in any situation. So the idea that I ask people to share their thoughts with me is not because I think I'm qualified or even certified, but that I am fair. So hopefully that means something to someone, and I'm just going to check. Okay. All right. So here we go. Looks like my caller is going to be ready, and this is going to be a good one. Thank you again for hanging out with me. And here we go. Swim, say what you mean. Oh my goodness, this has been a fiasco and my phone is still ringing. Are you there?
Hello.
Okay, there we are. I think we're there. So, you there? You with me? Can you hear me okay?
I'm with you. Yes, I can.
Okay, let me get a level here. All right, here we are. This has been a mess. So what happened? My studio line came up as spam, you said?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what happened? You had to call me back. So does your spam automatically go to voicemail?
Yep, automatic.
Oh, okay. So you one of those.
Even though I unblocked it. You know what it is? I get a lot of calls that are spam from this area code.
Okay. All right. No problem. So now we are on. So I was talking to my audience before I got you on the call about how this was a total impromptu. You may not know this, and we haven't talked in a couple of years now. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Okay, I'll take my part of the blame. How about your part? Shame on you.
I take my part too.
You know, we always say it. We're going to have to do better. We're going to have to do better, but let's just leave that alone and let's get into it. I want to tell you a little bit about my live stream. It's called SWIM, SWYM. That's the acronym for Say What You Mean. It's pretty much talk about talking. Every Wednesday at 9 p.m. I come into my studio and I have different conversations on different topics, and it can be any topic. Sometimes I don't have a topic when I start talking because I bring awareness to the quality of how we listen, how we hear, whether or not we're paying attention to what we're actually saying versus what we're feeling, thinking, or believing, and whether or not we're being considerate about what someone else may be saying, feeling, thinking, or believing, and putting that information out there. Oftentimes we don't get through conversations because of the frustration that comes with getting what we want or feeling that we may or may not be being understood or understanding someone. So I'm here in this season to bring awareness to being mindful of that and getting through some tough conversations. Family and friends, married couples, even nations get to a point where we don't talk, and then we would rather have war or be quiet and have, the suffer in silence condition that just creates so much, trouble. So with that being said, what do you think of that? What do you think of that concept? I really want your thoughts.
I feel that is very true, because even in relationships and dating, things are said. One person's quiet, the other person's talking. You never get to say how you feel about the situation or what has happened. And so it ends, a lot of relationships end because that one person has put what they feel out there, and you haven't had the opportunity to put what you feel out there. So that is very true. That is what's wrong with the world today. Is a lot of people, some of us only get to listen. Some of us never really get to say what we feel about the situation. But the other person put their point out there, and they're done. So I feel this is a wonderful thing that, you get to listen and you get to think about, because you just made me think about a situation I've been in where I didn't even get to say what I felt. I was told how he felt, and that was it. And he was done, and that was it. I've not talked since.
Okay. Now that's getting us off subject, but that's what it's about. Talking about what happens, and it affects everybody. So although
Yes.
I no one knows who I am, I think that I've been called in this season to bring awareness to this, and I'm hoping that, not that I will be famous or popular or viral, so to speak, but it's a passion, in my heart and soul due to experiences that I've had, that I bring awareness to it. And whether I get a dime or become a multi-billionaire, from this concept or these live streams that I'm putting out there, I just want to bring awareness to how important that is. Because look at you had no idea what this conversation was going to be about, and we haven't even gotten to the meat of why I even called you or what caused us to even get to this part of the interview. But look at just what you just said. You feel just what I just explained. You didn't get the opportunity to speak, and you are probably feel like you are misunderstood,
or there's a wrong idea. Tell me I'm
Yes.
lying. There's a
You're right.
misunderstanding, clearly, isn't it?
Yes.
And you have not had the opportunity, or the other party has not taken the opportunity to either listen or hear or be concerned about the truth. Sometimes people just want what they want and they don't care. And that's fine, you know, in some cases, if you're 2 or 3 years old. But it just doesn't, it's not profitable. It's not productive. As a matter of fact, it's counterproductive. So with that being said, this automatically says I'm going to get another interview with you at another time, because I would love to either hear that story or hear more of your thoughts about my concept, because I really do believe I'm on to something, and I'm not going to stop until, I don't know when I'll stop. But right now I'm on a roll. I'm consistent. I'm here every Wednesday night, and I make it happen. So thank you in advance for coming on again.
Oh, very welcome. Very welcome.
Okay, so
Thank
now,
you for inviting me.
absolutely, man, you know how far we go back. My audience, first of all, they have no clue who you are. I don't mention names, brands, titles, locations, anything like that. But I have a feeling some way, somehow, through our conversation, they're going to figure it out. But my reason for calling you was to, for one, catch up. And I started to think, you know, with this other season that I'm in of being a grandfather, that I cannot go too long. It's been just a little over a week and 2 Wednesdays, a week and 4 days that I've been officially a grandfather. And I've been trying to keep up with everybody and catch up with everybody. And just before I reached out to you, I thought, oh my God, I gotta call my sister to at least rejoice in this moment. And immediately when I got you on the phone earlier, I could hear the love, the excitement, the compassion in your voice. And I'm getting, you know, something's getting in my eye right now when I think about how far we go, man. We were like, you know, a little more time. We are equivalent to true childhood, you know, friends, and,
Yes.
you know, and going back. So let's talk about your thoughts of me being a grandfather and TJ being a father, and what you remember about those moments, particularly for me, but after he was born. So you've got the floor, and audience, just so you know, this is TJ's original godmother. She took care of him before we allowed anybody to even touch him back in the day. And she was dedicated and she was loyal, and we have remained brother and sister and friends from then up until this day. And this is a moment that is very special to me. I'm telling you, if I have to put you on hold, I'm not crying. Something is flying around and it's in my eye. So go ahead, you're on. Talk to me.
First of all, I would like to say congratulations. I would like to say how proud I am of you. From the first day that I met you, God put something in my heart for you. You were special. You will always be special. And we have a bond. I'm going to tell y'all, this young man right here has been through a lot in his life. He's a survivor. He's a fighter. But number one, he has God in his life. And God has always protected him. And he put him in my life to help protect him, to cover him. I have been with him through some rough times. He's been with me through some rough times, but we made it through. He has been a big brother, uncle to my 3 children. I'm a single parent, 2 sons and a daughter. They love this young man, love him. They love him. He has done so many things for them. We went on through a lot of things. He survived. God blessed him with a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wife. And one day, they gave me my beautiful godson. Oh, my goodness. God, I thank you this morning. Because him calling me has put joy in my heart. And I've seen TJ grow, play football, go into the military, get married, and now he's a dad. And I am so proud of him, the young man that he has become. And like he told you, I kept him. They didn't allow people to keep him, but I kept him. My daughter, my sons, they loved him. He was one of us. He was ours. But this young man and I go so far back. We have cried together. We have prayed together. We eat together, partied together, and served God together. And he will always be my little brother. But I tell you, y'all, this is an awesome man of God. And I love you so much, and thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sitting here. Now, I'm 300 pounds, and, I try to play a tough guy, but it's like, I don't think I've ever shed tears on my live stream. And these are not tears. I spoke with someone influential the other day when they just picked up the phone. I said I was going to talk about it. And, it's like I don't feel weak, but it's like, man, this is like, passion and compassion inside of me that starts to overflow. So as you were speaking, I kind of sort of, whatever that was in this room flew in my eye. And it's like, I'm just having one of these moments. But I thank you for those kind words you just said about me and my family and the birth of my son, and now even the birth of my new granddaughter that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And I hope I'm not looking bad. Maybe I can go off screen for a moment. But I know that what you're saying is true and sincere. And particularly as of late, I've been needing that kind of reassurance and confirmation. Iron sharpens iron, and we're supposed to be our brother and our sister's keeper. And I said something that I thought was funny the other day. I'm sorry. I said, I'm my brother's keeper, but I'm not always going to keep my brother. So I thought that was funny because sometimes our brothers, including me, we can get a little more needy than sometimes necessary. And that goes for not just our blood brothers and sisters, but just people in general. We are, our brother and sisters keepers, but we can't always keep them. So anyway, as you were saying, we go back, a long ways. But now you are a grandmother and you know that feeling. So I'm not even 2 weeks into it, not even 10 good days into it yet. So tell me, what should I already, I'm grateful to God that I was able to have a son and he's a junior. And although I have, adopted daughters and, I had the opportunity to initially spoil them, but now I have a blood granddaughter that I hope to have influence on. I can't imagine not being a complete sucker on a stick for this little girl. Now, one of my friends said to me the other day, he said, his wife actually said, she's going to say, Granddaddy, I want this or I want that. He said, you're going to tear your pants reaching into your pocket trying to get your wallet out. That's just how it's going to be. And I was like, I couldn't deny it, because when I saw her, when she came out and I was able to hold her for the first time, I cried for TJ's biological mother, his adopted mother, for my mother, for all the ancestors that, came before us, because I saw something that I'd never actually seen before in my hands. I saw the seed of my seed. And I thought, this has been going on for millions of years. And now I'm in that link. So without going far, because, you have to stop me sometimes, tell me what I should expect, and tell me, how has grandparenting been for you over the past years?
Well, I'm going to add too. You said grandparent. I'm a Gigi. I have been blessed to have 2 great grandchildren. Ooh. One is 5 years old, and one was just born August 9th.
Okay.
She's brand new.
Okay, brand
new.
So
I'm going to tell you, brand new, like not as new as your granddaughter, but I'm going to tell you, that is the most awesome feeling in the world, because you are seeing seed of your seed, and I'm seeing seed of my seed and their seed. So it's like that grandchild is going to be different than TJ. Because, like you said, once she looks at you, you can look at her now. You'll be out and you see yourself going in the children's department, and you'll be like, oh, she needs this. She may not need it, but guess what? You're going to buy it. You're going to have things in your home for her that you didn't have for your son. And he's going to ask you one day, my kids come out, you never had candy in the candy dish. Now the kids come, there's candy in the candy dish. I said, because y'all have to pay for that dinner. I do.
Well, here's the thing.
But it's so much love. Oh, my goodness, it's such a different love.
Well, I look at it as this. We get the opportunity to be a parent again, and we're better at it. You know, if I could go back and just be, just relive my life with what I know now. Of course, that's crazy. People say that. Well, if I could do it again, if I knew then what I know now, you couldn't be who you are. But the idea that through grandparenting, we get the opportunity to sort of kind of do it again. I think it's just designed that way. And I'm going to go ahead and give praise and respect to our creator for creating that system of grandparenthood, because it speaks volume. Think about what actually happens. There is a magic that happens to grandparents and the relationship between a grandchild and a grandmother or a grandfather. So that's just intelligence at work, and I'm honored to be a part of the club that you have been in. Now I don't know when I'll be able to catch up with being a GD, but that's incredible. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. It takes a while. It takes a while, because now the granddaughter has to grow up.
Yeah. And
do the same thing your son has done. Go to college, then start living her life, and then you'll become a grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And a great grandfather.
I don't think we will ever stop being, the parents, because I was just saying to someone just the other day, while I was up there visiting my son and his wife, I was looking around and looking at them going, oh my God, Lord, how they going to make it? Somehow or another, we think that we know so much more than them, and we do. But we still think we need to hold them and tell them and guide them and protect them. It's just a natural thing. But I had to, even in that moment when I was explaining it, man, I've got to let those grown people go. I can't tell them what and how to do everything, because, they're grown. Then they'll maybe start resenting me. Hopefully not. But I have to trust the same God that, got me through to the point where I'm at this place, and I have to know that, okay, I know what I put in my son. I met, his wife's family, and we're all cool. So I have 100% confidence that they're going to be great parents, and I'm looking forward to that experience.
But one thing about it, they're going to make mistakes like we did.
Ooh.
We cannot stop them from making mistakes. We want to, but they're going to make mistakes like we did, but guess what? They're going to be fine.
Yeah. Yep.
They're going to be fine. I had to step back from my children and say, hey, they're grown now, because they're all grown. But I still want to be that mother that I've always been. Stepping in and trying to help them. Mm-hmm. But I had to step back. God had to deal with me. It's time for me to step back.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard to do.
Grown. Yes, it is.
And I think it's still a part of that system. Everything that, God has done is just ingenious. I hope I'm using the right word. I'm trying to use a fancy word, ingenious. It's just incredible.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I know, right? I think it's incredible how everything is created. When I was talking about the other day, I was talking about every bug, every worm, every bird, every fish, every plant, every tree was created in that same, with that same intelligence. And, we're talking about how we have to step back and trust, that our kids will do the right thing. And of course they will make mistakes just like we made mistakes. That the nerve of you to say I made a mistake, but it's true. I did make some mistakes, and we have to be okay that the same God that brought us will bring them. And we get to kind of watch from a distance. And yes, it's just like, watching a race. Sometimes it gets close sometimes. And, the race usually finishes and we get to watch another one. So we just have to trust that everything is going to be okay. And I know you talked about we hung out and partied and ate together and laughed and cried and prayed. All those things, man, just went through my head. And one thing I know about you is that you have a nurturing spirit, and you've nurtured me from a long time, even up into this very moment. And that's going to be who you are until Jesus comes back 10 times. So I'll just say to you, thank you for being my sister, for being my friend, for being there in those times, even the beginning of, when my son was born, from the first time we met, even the times over the years that I've been able to reach out or, comment on something on your social media. You've always been loyal to me. I'm going to start crying again, but I appreciate that. That means something to me. And whenever I do, sometimes get lonely, we do it. I think about, the people that really do genuinely love me. And you would definitely be at the top of that list. And I'll just keep that in mind. If the enemy tries to, to discourage me, there are people that know me, that understand me, that respects me, that trusts me, and that believes in me. And I don't have to worry about those blanks that don't. So I love you so,
but
so much.
The thing about our relationship is it was God ordained. It was ordained. You had a praying mother, a praying grandmother, and they were good people. They took care of people. My mother was the same, and things she instilled in me. But when I met you, it's like you got to stick by him. You got to help him. You got to do things for him. Not that you were needy, it was that you did need me. And I thank God for allowing me to see that. And I thank God for allowing you to receive what I had to give to you. That was a blessing, just to be able to little things, it was a blessing to me. It's a blessing to me anytime I can do anything for anybody.
And you know what? I hear in your voice the sincerity that I need in this time. You don't know what I've been going through over the past few months, weeks, or years. But just hearing you say what you're saying is just confirmation and a reminder to me that you're right. My mother has always, anybody that she ever met, I could see, the look in her eye and the expression on her face that she would gauge people to see if they were good people, for her son to be around. And she would always, if she got the opportunity to meet anyone, that I introduced her to or she eventually got to meet, look out for my son. And that's every mother's prayer, every father's prayer whenever their children are out in the world. Even my son, the people that he hangs out with at the gym, when I met them, I could feel my mother's spirit in me thinking, God, I hope they're good people. I hope they mean my son well. And I hope that they don't pull any kind of, jive. But then we have to also remember that, weapons may form, but they won't prosper. But it's natural for us as flesh to maybe not worry, but be a little concerned. So I hear your sincerity. And as they say, in the old saints used to say, if I had 1,000 tongues, I couldn't thank you enough. I could eat a lot of ice cream, though. But I appreciate you. I just had to throw that in. But I appreciate your love for me. And I have never taken it in vain. And, as you said, we've been there for each other. And, one of us is going to have to leave here before the other, unless we're just fortunate to leave at the same time. But I want you to know, if I never talk to you again, or if you never see me again or hear from me again, you have impacted my life. I love you to no end, and I know that you love me the same. So even if either one of us have to check out before, you could never leave me, even if you tried. So whenever your time is up here and you have to dip, or vice versa, you're going to always be in my heart forever and ever and ever. Just wanted you to know that.
Whew. You don't know how much I needed to hear that from you this morning. I thank God for allowing you to call me. I thank God for this conversation. And most of all, I thank God for you. You are very important to me and always will be. Always in my prayers. Always. Because you're just a brother. You are a little brother. I think sometime I tried to be your mom, and you took that and you accepted that too.
Of course.
Like, oh, you're not old enough to be my mom, but you're right.
Yes. Always.
You know, and I had the opportunity to meet your beautiful mother. And I'm going to tell you, she would be so proud. Her her Gigi baby, yes. Yes. That little girl is beautiful.
I get
My
teased.
heart, I cried.
And I know that compassion. I kind of talk with my brothers and sisters, and they kind of sort of say it too. You know, there's always what we call a black sheep, and you know, there's a teacher's pet in the family. And you know, I would always say, you know, y'all know I was my mom. I was my mama's favorite. And somehow or another, when I would say that, even in joking, you know, they have to think about it and said, maybe you weren't her favorite, but you were that one that needed a little special attention. So they're taking the favor away from me and saying, okay, I was the special one, and I'll receive that. And I do know that my mother had a special compassion for me. Not that she didn't love my other brothers and sisters, because she did. But I know that, you know, my uniqueness required her to respond in a different way. And I knew, now that I called my son now in just the past few days, first thing I say is, how's that grandbaby of mine? You know, my mother used to ask me the same thing. How's little T? How's TJ? Y'all all right? And she would ask me, she would ask me, how are things going? And I'm sort of experiencing that myself. Not that I didn't know what she meant, but having to experience it yourself definitely gives new meaning, you know, to where she was at that time. And it's just an honor to be, and for you to share in even this moment with me. We say it all the time, you know, we have to do better. We need to talk more and catch up more, because even now with what you just said, you know, we're going to have a live stream about, we probably need to talk about that, you know, off air, so that we can, be each other's keeper, because there are some perspectives that I could share with you, just like you could share with me. And we need that, you know, from time to time. When we met 30, 40 plus years ago, however many it was, we were different people. We've had different experiences. And I would love to catch up with you and share with you how much I've grown, how much I've matured, how even some ways I've even gotten even more childish, and maybe even needy in some ways. But I think, I know, right? We might need to have a few of those conversations, because I heard something in you where it's like, she needs her brother on this. You know?
Yes, I do.
And we're going to get off this line, and I already know, I have no idea what I'm going to get, but I know that whatever I have, whatever my insight is going to be a blessing, because, you know, it's just divine order, and that's just how it works. So,
well, let me tell you this. You said childish. I've gotten childish. I finally went and got me a tattoo. Woo! So my kids are tripping.
No, you didn't.
So it's never too late. I said, live your dream. Enjoy your life. We don't know what tomorrow brings, you know. So I'm living a dream. I retired last year. I've been retired a year. I thank God for the opportunity to be able to retire young and be able to enjoy my life. Yeah, a little crazy, but I'm enjoying life. So we get a little childish when we get a little older. There's nothing wrong with that, baby. Enjoy your life.
Yeah. And you know, when we do get off air, I'm going to tell you about some things that's happening even at this very moment that speaks to that very same thing, enjoying your life. I know that taking care of my son was an extreme priority for me, and I believe I finished that course. My race is done.
You did a great job, baby.
Thank you. I received that.
You did an awesome job.
And I'm in that season of where I'm doing exactly what you're saying. I'm about to change course and enjoy my life. And now that I'm speaking and talking about it, I'm not surprised that old Slewfoot would try to do something to disrupt that, because you know. But the devil is a liar. You just encouraged me just now. I don't think I'll get another tattoo, but I think I will continue to do some of those childish things that I've always wanted to do, because maybe this is my season, and maybe I do need to go on, and I shouldn't be surprised that weapons are being formed, and I just need to keep on moving. So, oh my God, if I could kiss you right in the middle of your forehead for that, I'd do it, because I needed to hear that right now. And I'm sure the more we talk, we're going to come up, some other things are just going to manifest in this season. So I'm just going to thank you in advance for that.
Yes. And thank you. I love you so much.
I love you more. So listen, why don't we go?
My great grandson and I say, I taught him before he could even talk, I love you to the moon and back. And now that's what he says every time he talks to me. Gigi, I love you to the moon and back. And I'm going to say, my little brother, I love you to the moon and back.
And I know it's going to be hard to come back from that. So I'll make it simple and say, I love you more than that. So on that note, I think we achieved the goal of reaching out. Once I sign off here, I'm going to call you back. If you have a little more time, we can catch up a little bit off the air. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And thank you so much. You promise you'll come back and we'll talk again. We're going to talk about whatever that situation is. We don't have to go into the details, but I do want to talk about your experience of not being able to be heard. So that'll be our next live stream. But in the meantime, take good care of yourself. Find somebody you need to say I love you to. Don't just say it, but continue to show it like I know you always have and will.
Okay.
All right.
Love you.
Love you more. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Well, there you have it. Whew, I didn't know what to expect for that one, from that one, but I'm glad I did it. It was exciting. That was my sister from way back. Man, as she said, we hung out back in the day and we never, stopped being close and, loving each other. And I miss her and I love her. And I always know that if I reach out to her, just like, now, she'll be there for me as she always has been. Well, with that being said, take good care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take some more deep breaths. Look into the mirror. Find yourself. Don't be surprised when you fall into diverse temptation. Just know that a way of escape will be made for you. Know when to take it. Be okay with adversity. It's there to show you you. It's there to show us ourselves. Don't be afraid to look in the mirror. And don't be afraid to have tough, hard, and even difficult conversations. The truth and knowing it will set you free. Till the next time, take care. I love you and good night.
SWYM. Swim. Say what you mean. As much as this information is designed to bring awareness to how we listen, hear, and process, it is also a form of therapy. The little person inside of all of us needs to be heard. As adults, even listening to ourselves is a form of healing, strengthening, and growth. It's okay to speak, talk, express yourself, and be heard, even if you're the only listener. If our testimony does anything at all for anyone else, that makes the continued effort worth the time. Get the words out. You'll feel better, and that's a promise. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Sometimes it seems like all the good times are gone. But you got to keep on searching. You got to keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. For example, take me standing right here today. I would not be here with you if I believed the things that the people say. You got to keep on searching. Keep on searching. Keep it on the cool side. Keep it on the cool side. Keep on